them who make this demand. And so today I have Pastor Cole that's going to be talking with us, and we're here to discuss an attack that not was only on communities of color and people of color, that's broadly, but this was a direct attack on the African American community. And we want to highlight that, and we want to make sure that those voices are heard first and foremost. So with that, having said that, I'm going to pass on the mic to the pastor. He's going to have some words. We have a lineup of speakers with several things to share.
Thank you, Luis. We appreciate that. Good morning. Good morning. Let's try that again. Good morning. Good morning. We have gathered here today, and we are excited because of what has taken place. And when I say excitement, I don't mean positive. I mean we're taking action. We have to let the entire Commonwealth of Virginia know where we stand on this issue. And we do not stand alone. We stand with the entire United Democratic Party of Virginia, the Senate Democrats, the House Democrats, the Virginia Legislative Black Caucus, and numerous legislators in the state of Virginia who agree that Governor Ralph Northam should resign. Let me make this clear. We are not saying that we are condemning the man. We are not saying that he is an enemy of us, but what we are saying is his actions in his past, and to continue to stand for it as our governor is not welcome. We cannot stand for that. We want to make sure that we send a message clear to everyone in the Commonwealth of Virginia that we are not standing for this and we will not endorse this. We are not standing with agreement to his actions. We are standing in ultra separation from it. So we have to make sure that everyone knows where we stand. And I know this is not a partisan issue, but I said it on Friday. I said if this was a Republican, those of us who are Democrats would be at war against this, and we would stand and say he should resign. So we have to hold him to the exact same standard now as his own party. We want to make sure that everyone knows where we stand. We draw the line here, and we are not crossing over. We are not standing back, and we will not go back. We stated that he needs to resign, and our board stands firm. The governor needs to resign. So we're going to have a few other guests who are with us today. I just want to share with you that we have some awesome voices, and we're going to start right here in the Commonwealth of Virginia, not too far from here, with members from the Union Hill community. There has been backlash, there has been fighting, there has been contention for the past couple of months over the compression station that has been pulled through and piled through to be pushed in Union Hill. So we're going to ask right now if we would have Richard Walker and Ruby Laurie, who are standing with us in solidarity. We are standing with them and the Union Hill community. Please hear ye them.
Amen.
Good morning, everyone. I'm glad you can make it out. And I repeat and echo everything that the pastor just said. Governor Northam, it's time to go. I campaigned for him, but what he's done is reprehensible. The old saying is, if it looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's got to be. Why did they call him Coon Man? Because of the pictures. He didn't just happenstance come get that name. It's a direct result of what he portrayed. And I don't know. But his policies also has affected us in as far as I'm concerned, a discriminatory manner. By him removing the two Air Board members right in the middle of a decision for a permit for Dominion, as far as I'm concerned, that has some racial overtones.
Amen.
Because Union Hill is an historically African American community founded by freed slaves back in the 1800s. I am a fifth generation grandson, great-great-grandson of Taylor Harper, who was a freed slave that purchased our land that has been inheritance land passed through generations in 1885. What the governor has done has pretty much allowed Dominion to erase our history. I'm sick and tired of the systemic, structured racism in the entire Commonwealth of Virginia.
Amen.
It's not just environmental racism. It's social racism, economic racism, educational racism throughout the state of Virginia. It has gone on far too long. Listen, he ain't the only one. He just got exposed. In that General Assembly, the reason why we have this structured systemic racism going on is because a bunch of them are second and third generation cluckers. I truly believe that. Because all of these laws, since early 1902, when the first Constitution of the Commonwealth of Virginia met here in Richmond, there was one individual delegate that said, by keeping African Americans disenfranchised is a way to keep the darkies out of our government. And it hasn't changed. It's time for change. If not now, when? He has opened up the floodgates for us to take action. And it's time to take action to stop him affecting, because it's going throughout the state. Not only is Union Hill being affected, Norfolk is being affected, West Virginia, the edges of Virginia into West Virginia, they're all being affected because of his discriminatory policies and him being in the pocket of Dominion Energy. It's time for it to stop. Also, another friend of mine from Union Hill that currently resides there as well, Miss Ruby Laurie.
Well, thank you for allowing me to be here. That is definitely a tough act to follow. I wish I had gone first. But,
Love you, Ruby. Love you, Ruby.
But I don't know why people want to put me up here, because I'm not really that great of a speaker. But I, was really shocked and surprised to see that information on the TV regarding the governor. I'm not here to condemn him, because my pastor in California says when you point your finger at a person, there's three fingers pointing back at you. So I'm not here to condemn him. It's up to Governor Northam to make the decision as a man to stand up for what is right. I was also, Richard also mentioned it about the two airport members. That was really a slap in the face when he let them go. And oh Lord.
His advisory council.
And the other thing was the advisory council. They came into our community, took their time to come into the Union Hill community, and they did the study. They recommended to the governor that he suspend this information until further information was gathered regarding it. But as I understand he also dismissed the advisory meeting, the advisory council.
Yep, last
and
week.
that to me was a slap in the face also. But I just want to say to Governor Northam, it's between you and the Lord. You know what's right. So the right thing for you to do would be to stand down as our governor and let someone else come in. I know that Dominion is a very powerful company, but there's one power that's more powerful than Dominion, and that is my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. So I'm depending on Him for everything that happens in my life, and what actually should happen in everyone's life, but I can't speak for everyone. Right now I'm just speaking for Union Hill, the Union Hill community, and I think actually the person that should have really been up here is my husband, because I'm not originally from Virginia or from Buckingham. I am from California. However, I have come to love that community. It is a place where it is beautiful, the greenery, the scenery, the quietness, the pristine air that we breathe. And everyone that comes to visit from California, my family and friends, they are so amazed how beautiful the blue skies, the greenery, the peace and quiet, the solitude. So, that's it for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ruby. Thank you, Richard. We appreciate you all for standing out here today. This is very key to understand. As a preacher, I have to use scripture. The Bible says, to whom much is given, much is required. And if a brother among you is fallen, we must restore and repair him. So what we're telling to you, Governor Ralph Northam, as a Christian, as you have claimed that you are held to a higher standard, especially as our governor. We need you to own up as you apologize. Thank you. All right, now move aside. We need to move forward, and we will continue to do better. At this time, I believe we're supposed to have special music by Miguel, not the pop, not the Miguel singer. Is Miguel here?
And that's how many Spanish speakers are here? We have a chant in Mexico that is kind of a joke, kind of, and it's when we don't like someone, we say that we wanna sacaremos ese buey de la barranca. We're gonna get that. How do you translate that? We're gonna get that F guy out of wherever he's in the hole, hiding maybe. So the tone is sacaremos ese buey de la barranca. Sacaremos ese buey de la barranca. Sacaremos ese buey de la barranca sacaremos ese buey. But I change it. So I say sacaremos a Northam del gobierno. Sacaremos a Northam del gobierno. If we want to do it, I need people who speak Spanish. So, listen. Sacaremos ese buey del gobierno. Sacaremos ese buey del gobierno. Sacaremos ese buey del gobierno. Del gobierno sacaremos ese buey. I don't know how to translate it, but that's it.
Thank you, Miguel. The translation, it's simple. It's in essence, it says that the people will ensure to take Northam out of power, and that is what's happening today. We have another person, Reverend.
We are still standing strong here, and as we continue to stand, we will be here for a few more hours. And as you continue to see, the numbers are growing. Those who stand with Governor Northam saying that he should wait it out, I'm sorry, but history will not be kind to you. Those who are telling Governor Northam that it's going to be okay, I apologize. No, I take no apology. History will not be kind to you. And allow me to say this. This is coming from me as a personal individual. It doesn't represent the views of CASA. But there are many of us who still love Ralph Northam. There are still many of us who think that he's a great man. This is not going against him as an individual, but he is standing as the leader of the Commonwealth of Virginia. And we who have voted him in, we who knocked on doors for him, we who donated money to his campaign are now standing saying, be accountable to those who put you in office. We have moved, we have stated, step aside, do your due diligence, and do what the people who put you in office said. Remove yourself so that we can continue forward in a cleaner and a better Virginia. Thank you. We are standing here. I think we have a member from CASA in Action who's going to stand and voice their opinions as well. So please make welcome a member from CASA in Action.
Yeah.
Espinosa.
Good day, everybody. My name is Hilda Espinosa.
Hoy estoy aquí apoyando a mis hermanos de color que son igual que yo y no quiero que siga habiendo esa discriminación para ellos y para nosotros.
I'm here today in support to my brothers and sisters of color because I do not want, just as a person of color, because I do not want there to be any discrimination to them.
Estamos en un estado que está siendo estamos modernizando, entonces no creo que tenemos que retroceder y ser otra vez perseguidos, menos por alguien que nos nos está representando.
We're in a state where we should have true representation, especially in this day and age, somebody that truly represents who we are.
Queremos que se vaya hoy, ni un día más.
We want him to live today, not a single day more.
Thank you. I think it's very key that you notice the power that we have here. If we have the power to put them in, we have the power to take them out. I don't want you to think, you have to understand that this is, like I said, or we said together, that this is an attack on the African American community. This gives voice to those who say my vote doesn't matter. And when they did go and vote, this happened to them. When they sit there and say that we never will be able to make change, if he does not remove himself, their views that they had and the views that stopped them from voting will continue to stop them from voting. The views that they had that will continue to keep them at home will continue to keep them at home. We are Virginia. We showed in 2017 that we are better than our past, and we cannot make a roadblock here and say, oh, that was his past, we'll get over it, or you need to get over it. No, we will not get over it until he has removed himself and until he is replaced. We are standing firm, and we are not taking back our voices. At this time, we have Vanessa Bolin, who is representing the Indigenous Peoples' demands. Vanessa?
Know that I'm standing here in solidarity with people of color, with brown people. We live through enough trauma in this state as it is. We have to drive by the statues. We have to drive by the battlefields in a state that celebrates their very, very, very messed up past. Sorry, I'm going to try not to say bad words here. Ralph Northam needs to step down now. You are no longer fit to govern this state, and we are demanding change, and real change. Demanding that the statues come down, especially the one of Columbus. Columbus did not discover this country. Our people were here thousands of years. The imaginary borders, our people have flowed from the furthest north to the furthest south, with passing those imaginary borders for thousands of years before colonizers showed up. You're standing on stolen land. Also demanding that we have Columbus Day. Why? Here again, he didn't discover anything. It should be changed to Indigenous Peoples Day. The first people. And what has happened to Union Hill is very well explained now. Northam is a racist, and he needs to go. And whoever steps in to take his place, know that you better dump your skeletons out of the closet now before we find them out, or you can go with him. We all stand up. We have to have change. We have a new way. Let's make it a new Virginia that is equal and fair. I demand that this state don't just change. We're going to be a sanctuary state. Not even a city, a sanctuary state. Everybody is equal here, and when we can walk down the streets and be able to not worry about being attacked because of the color of our skin, who we love, how we identify, have equality here with real change. It's time to happen. Northam, step down now. The next person stepping in, dump your closet, because we'll find you out and put you out too.
Peace Education Center. And here's our statement. The Richmond Peace Education Center's commitment to racial justice and to helping Richmond and Virginia heal from the trauma of slavery and the centuries of racial violence that continue to this day compels us to join the many other Virginians calling for Governor Ralph Northam's immediate resignation. Virginia cannot reckon with its brutal history of racism and white supremacy, much less have any hope of achieving reconciliation with Northam in its highest office. Restorative and transformative justice demands that Northam step down to make way for new leadership. Thank you. Muchas gracias.
My name is Angel Romero. I'm a member of CASA, and I'm here because I'm also a DACA recipient, and I'm here because I'm aware well too aware that my struggles are connected to your struggles. And I actually knock doors every day, 6 days a week for Ralph Northam with CASA in Action. And I'm honestly appalled that this was discovered about someone that I put my faith into. I put my sweat and my tears into this. I'm furious, honestly, because yes, because honestly, for someone to be claiming to be representing us, and then we find out that he is a racist, no, that's not acceptable, and we're not going to accept that from anyone. And so I want to make sure that everyone knows that we're in this together, okay?
Alright, I am a content creator from Richmond, Virginia, and I'm a Black mental health advocate. I was asked to speak on behalf of one of my friends who was not able to come. And I just have some thoughts on all of this. When I first heard the news this past Friday of a photo in a 1984 yearbook of a man in what appeared to be blackface standing next to another man dressed in a KKK costume, news sources surfaced and said that it was Virginia Governor Ralph Northam. Now, this photo was taken 35 years ago. I'm 26, and images like this do not surprise me. Just a few weeks ago, a video surfaced of a white boy wearing a MAGA hat sneering in front of a Native American elder outside of the Lincoln Memorial. This video went viral, but enraged, I was unsurprised. When you are a Black woman, you are constantly exhausted. The sheer ignorance of young white boys' privilege, adorned solely as naivety, is enraging for all people. Just yesterday, I was online and I saw a photo of a young Black boy walking through a crowd of white boys in 1957 on his way to school in Little Rock, Arkansas. As schools in that city at that time were being integrated, both Black and white students. I can only imagine what that young boy experienced, and I can only imagine the onslaught of slurs that he received. And I'm probably sure those white boys grew up to be, I don't know, important members of society, important members of the communities. These are your teachers, your lawyers, your doctors. You know, people as good people that we look up to. So whether it's white kids darkening their skin with shoe polish or a red brim trucker hat with Make America Great Again, the meaning is just the same then and now. I am Black. I live in the capital of the Confederacy. During the age of Black Lives Matter, where Black students across the city see more punishment for solely existing in their classroom. Racial disparities in Virginia's juvenile justice system are higher than the national average in Virginia. I'm a 2nd and 3rd grade teacher, y'all. Black youth are 7 times more likely to be incarcerated than their white peers. So where is their naivety? Where is their innocence? The youth of Latino heritage are 2.5 more likely to be incarcerated than their white kids. Where is the innocence for them? There are no excuses for men like Northam and their youth. The pervasive power that is afforded to white men in this country is solely debilitating. The acts aforementioned are racist, unacceptable, and unexcusable at any age. We must resign Northam now!
And I'm speaking for the Virginia Poor People's Campaign. The Poor People's Campaign, what we are looking at is we look at policy. This is a letter that we are preparing if Governor Northam does not choose to resign. Racist politicians create racist policies and uphold racist systems of oppression despite overwhelming public opposition if they are beholden to powerful corporations who benefit from racism. Gee, who could that be in Virginia? As governor, you have continually chosen to support Dominion Energy's blatant environmental racism rather than stand with the citizens of Union Hill fighting to protect clean air and water in their community and the Commonwealth. On behalf of Dominion, Governor Northam lied about honoring science on the Mountain Valley and at Atlantic Coast Pipeline projects, reappointed David Taylor to serve pipeline developers instead of Virginia's environment or Virginia's people, interfered with due process of the Air Pollution Control Board by stacking that board to favor Dominion, and dismissed and disbanded his own Advisory Council on Environmental Justice when they rightly informed him that the pipelines were unjust to African Americans and to the poor of our state. Over the objections of civil rights groups, chose to support industry lobbyists supporting raising the felony threshold to only $500 rather than the $1,500 that was requested. Virginia has one of the lowest felony threshold levels, which continues to make it easy to imprison people of color, and in Virginia, take away their right to vote for a lifetime. On Friday, you apologized for an ugly racist photograph on your medical school yearbook page. On Saturday, at a bizarre press conference, you denied being in the photograph, but stated that you had appeared in blackface in 1984. Your complete lack of racial sensitivity and sense did not allow you to understand why this was a problem. Nearly everyone has questioned the sudden turnaround. Governor Northam, you betrayed our trust by including the photo in your yearbook. You lost our trust and respect with your backtracking, inappropriate comments, and racial insensitivity. Under these circumstances, you cannot continue as governor of Virginia.
Amen. May I have the mic for a second?
1 second, I'm going to have Ziana, and then I get you. We have two more representatives real quick. I want to introduce a representative from the League of Women Voters, and then Ziana, an awesome activist from Charlottesville, Virginia.
All right, I'm Carol Nagle with the League of Women Voters of Virginia, and for decades, personally, I have been working against racism and discrimination and obviously working for voting rights. But I want to read you our official statement. The League of Women Voters of Virginia deplores and condemns racism in whatever guise it exists. Actions and attitudes that were accepted and tolerated in the past cannot be allowed to continue into the 21st century. We are deeply grieved by the disclosures of Governor Ralph Northam's past, and while we do believe that persons can come to enlightenment and change their attitudes and behavior, it is impossible to erase the past. We recognize the implications of both remaining in office and resigning that office, and we believe that the Commonwealth will be more able to address the ongoing issue of racism if Governor Northam resigns.
Imagine if Trayvon was offered that, or Mike, or Sandra, or every black trans woman who is killed every single day. In medical school, these are the people who offer subpar care to black women every day when they die in labor. Come on. So if we're going to give him the benefit of the doubt, let's give it to every young black boy and girl, every brown young person.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
You need to resign now. Resign now. Resign now. And moonwalk on that.
Family and beautiful people, how are you? My name is Tatiana. I'm here representing the Center for Popular Democracy and Bird Dog Nation, who act as the people's lobbyists and get legislation passed on behalf of all of us and protecting the people over corporations. And I'm also an Armenian immigrant who was born in Istanbul, who just got my citizenship, so Stephen Miller can't deport me. And I just want to say that it seems as though Governor Northam is suffering from an affliction that is afflicting many of our elected officials, not just affluenza, but powerfluenza, where they feel like they are not held accountable for their actions because they exist in their ivory towers looking down on us and forgetting that they serve at the pleasure of the people. And we the people say that you are no longer our pleasure, and you may think that you are the leader we need, but we are telling you in unified voice and solidarity that you are not the leader we want. Get out. Resign now. As Desmond Tutu said, if you remain neutral in situations of injustice, you have chosen the side of the oppressor. We are here raising our voices. In America, we need more of you. We need more of you out here holding our public servants accountable, reminding them that they are servants, and reminding them that it is we the people and the power is of the people. Power to the people. Thank you for your solidarity, everyone coming out today. I love y'all. And Governor Northam, you know what you need to do. Get the hell out of our house.
Is Anna Edwards here?
Yes. From the Defenders for Freedom, Justice, and Equality, but also from the Sacred Ground Historical Reclamation Project. We are standing here in the context of the commemoration of the 400th anniversary of the arrival of the first Africans on this continent, on this particular territory in the Chesapeake Bay that was once known as Secomaco. I didn't say that right, and I apologize. But we're talking about territory that belonged to the first peoples here. We are talking about a territory that has ever since then had to deal with this kind of repression and oppression against First Nations people, against the Africans that were brought here, against poor and impoverished people, against immigrants of color primarily. Each wave of these people has had to deal with this nonsense. And the fact that he would stand there and say, not that he didn't do it, but that he did it, and that it was commonplace and therefore he should be forgiven, is such unbelievable nonsense, because Governor Ralph Northam was an individual who made a decision, and even in 1984 they knew that was an entirely wrong thing to do. They did it within the safe space that they had created for themselves. And not only did they do it as individual young white boys, they also did it as the Eastern Virginia Medical College. Those are the people that also sanctioned the publication of that book. So we are looking at both individual and systemic racism. We need to stand here for just a moment to honor the memory of a woman who passed on Thursday, just before this ridiculous news broke on Friday. Her name was Lily A. Estes. She was a community strategist. She called herself that because she spoke with every opportunity to let people know what it felt like from the community on up to have to live in these conditions. And she recognized it all around her, and she made the connections. She was somebody that supported the work in Shackled Bottom because she recognized that we also have to understand this history in order to understand how to respond when this nonsense happens. We have to condemn as well the party that supported Governor Northam and put him into office. I'm sorry. But their Democratic Party history has also come from a place where the switchover is not enough. Their learning has clearly only just begun. And the fact that they were willing to put him in office when this little piece of information, even if he forgot about his yearbook, because again, it was commonplace, it was okay, it was safe at the time. They do background checks, they knew it was there. It is time to hold them accountable on all these levels. Who they select to put in office, who you support for them to put in office, and the structure around which that is done. You have to examine it, and you have to take it to task. And we may need to figure out if some other way needs to be done. I want to bring this quickly back to the other issue here when we're talking about environmental racism and we're talking about the effect of the policies that a governor can enact and the fact that he has stood against the people of Union Hill and for the pipeline. The fact that he has stood with his primary supporter, Dominion, Virginia Power, Dominion Energy, Mr. Tom Farrell. The fact that he's not alone in that. Governor McAuliffe also took those funds and enacted policies that were favorable to Dominion. Amen. Mayor Stoney is currently working on a proposal for this city that is led by Dominion Energy and is going to have direct impact on the lives and neighborhoods of the people in this community, which means it's going to have a direct impact on people who choose to come to this city. We're talking about everyone who is represented here. Exactly. The defenders go to Buckingham Correctional Center on a fairly regular basis to speak with prisoners. And one of the things that they are most concerned about, among others, is that there is a compressor station that is being planned for Buckingham County. They are literally captive. If something goes wrong with that compressor, they're not getting out. And so they want to understand how their voices can be heard. And that is something that we can help them do. We need to mention them and we need to empower them as well, because they are coming out. They will be among us, right? They are coming back to their homes and their people and their communities. I want to help you wrap all of this up in terms of what we do. In the Shacklebottom struggle for appropriate change to the landscape of public history in the city of Richmond, and the fact that if we can do this right, that means we can also knit that together with the other things that have to be done properly in this city. Please join us at City Council on February 11th, where we ask them if they can't manage to wrest the power to do something about the monuments on Monument Avenue from the Virginia State Legislature, then they can certainly do something about the streets in this city that are named for Jim Crow representatives and Confederate leaders. They can do something about the names of the bridges. They can do something about the ways in which these places, the Lee Bridge could be called the Gabriel Bridge. Join us on February 11th. We have copies of our newspaper. Please help us tell your stories. This is a vehicle. This is the longest lasting community-centered free newspaper in the city of Richmond at this moment, so please make it work. All right, we stand with you. Governor Northam must resign.
Strong and keep fighting. The Bible tells us, be ye not weary in well-doing, for you shall surely reap if you think not. Keep your hands up, keep your feet to the ground, keep lifting your voices, and keep standing strong. We're not done. I just want to encourage you. That's it. I want you to make sure that you're encouraged. Stand strong. This fight is only going to get tougher. We have to keep standing strong, and we have to keep making our voices heard. Don't give up. Don't give in. Don't get tired yet.
Hi, my name is Joshua Van. I'm from Rockingham County in Western Virginia in the heart of the Shenandoah Valley. Here in solidarity with the oppressed and disenfranchised communities, reliving hundreds of years of trauma today, and especially standing in solidarity with the community of Union Hill in Buckingham County, who are facing down a frac gas compressor station being proposed by Dominion Energy for the Atlantic Coast Pipeline. Some of us here today in this crowd are not exactly surprised when a photo surfaces from 35 years ago of Ralph Northam acting in complicity with some really distasteful, if you want to put it lightly, actions concerning white supremacy. There we go. White supremacy, and we might say racial insensitivity today, but it's white supremacy. Some of us have noticed this at times through Ralph's short-term and even before so in his campaigning. Does anyone remember on Halloween when Ralph Northam dressed up as James Barber, former governor of Virginia and slaveholder? I don't know if y'all know what racial insensitivity looks like, but that's a pretty good example. All right? And the picture was in the Richmond Times-Dispatch. No comment. All right? These things have been allowed to run under the surface and not be talked about for far too long. And these sorts of policies and backroom shenanigans that allow companies like Dominion to come into communities like Union Hill and divide and conquer people, split them up by offering millions of dollars so that they can run their compressor station through. It's unacceptable. It goes back to the McAuliffe administration, and you know what? It's time to stop letting the boys have this one, all right? It's time to stop letting the old plantation rule our policy making in Virginia. That's right. And when someone dresses up as James Barber for Halloween, who's supposed to be a leader of this Commonwealth, who is supposed to be on board with racial justice, environmental justice, it speaks pretty loudly from the old plantation that we're still going to let the boys have this one. So are we going to let the boys have this one? No! That's right. So we need leadership, and it's not the leadership that Ralph Northam has offered, and it's not the leadership that he has proposed in his sorry, pretty lackluster apology. So, on behalf of folks from Union Hill and folks fighting to frack gas pipelines that are going to disproportionately affect underserved communities and communities of color in Virginia, we need new leadership, and it doesn't look like the old plantations.
Yeah. CPD Action, standing in love and solidarity with CASA and Action, who invited us to come here today. Thank you so much for putting this together. About a year and a half ago, I was with some people who were in this crowd marching from Charlottesville to DC after another tragedy happened here in the state. And people ask if we were surprised that this photo surfaced. And what I always say is we marched on Robert E. Lee Highway. So no, we can't be surprised. There's a reckoning that has to happen in this state, in this country, around racism. We can no longer handle it with sensitivity in kids' gloves. This is not a racially charged incident. This is a racist incident. Right. Yeah. We can no longer say that this is okay. We can no longer say people can move on from this. People can move on. We believe in redemption. Redemption is one of our values, but people get redeemed outside of office. Right. That's right. People can get redemption outside of office when they're not making policies that impact people who look like them. There was a sister up here who talked about the way these same doctors who are in yearbooks preside over some of the worst birth rates for Black women. This is connected. Hello. Justin Fairfax was the only person who sat out on Robert E. Lee Day. This is connected. There are things that are happening that we have to no longer say, I like my neighbor, I'm not racist. We have to say we have to break down systems of oppression that allow people like Governor Northam to be in office in the first place when he knows racist pictures of himself are floating around. So it is no longer okay to moonwalk at press conferences. It is no longer okay to stand after we have told you time after time to resign. We should not be here. He should be done, and we should be talking about the ERA. Hello. So I am here in solidarity telling him he needs to resign now. Now. Boy, by today. Boy, by yesterday. And thank you so much for putting this together.
To let you know, if you're watching on the news, if you're watching via live stream, and if you are a person who's white and you don't know what to do today, I ask you to reach out to a friend of yours or a neighbor of yours who may be African American and have the hard conversations. We need to talk, and we need to talk now. If you have issues, if you have past, come to us, apologize, talk about it, and show how you can do better moving forward. Don't be another Ralph Northam. Don't apologize once you're exposed. Apologize beforehand and deal with it now. Let's go.
Someone has been hurting my people for far too long, and it's got to stop. My name is Velma Seymour, and I want to thank CASA and the other organizations for putting this together. I am here on behalf of the Richmond Region League of United Latin American Citizens, and our mantra is all for one and one for all. When you hurt my brothers and sisters, you hurt me. So the solidarity must continue past today. Governor Northam, the people elected you. Now you must listen to the people. We no longer trust you. You can no longer leave.
So listen, and he must resign now in this racism. And by the way, we talked about different acts of racism or the Halloween costume. Does anybody remember during the campaign, his gubernatorial campaign, when he left Justin Fairfax off flyers?
Do you remember?
So this isn't the first time. This is just the first time the mask has been completely off. So the cautionary tale here is just because somebody says they're with you, we have to do due diligence. It's like, how? Show me how you're with me and how you support us. Again, thank you, everybody, and obviously we have a lot of work to do going forward together. Thank you.
My name is Omar Gaddafi. I'm representing my organization, Leaders of the New South. We do a lot of organizing in Richmond around various issues impacting disenfranchised, traditionally excluded populations in the city. There was a lot of good information that was given here. It was all accurate about the history of what we've been noticing coming out of Northam since he's been in office and even before he was in office. So yeah, it wasn't really a surprise to most of us when the pictures came out because we had seen what's been going on the whole time he's been in office. You know, I was thankful. I think, you know, one of my fellow colleagues said that this picture was a gift sent to us by our sister Lily A. Estes last Thursday. You know, nothing is coincidental. You know, she joined our ancestors on Thursday and we were gifted with this picture on Friday exposing what we already had seen, what had been going on. You know, we saw the pictures on Halloween, you know, and people were able to excuse that away. We saw what had been going on with the air control board and Northam's interference to promote the destruction of the black community in Union Hill. We saw that. You know, so thank God that we were able to see a picture of a KKK person and a blackface, because otherwise, you know, a lot of white people wouldn't recognize racism unless, you know, somebody gets called the N-word or unless you see a KKK hood. You know, but we've been seeing it this whole time. Right. You know, and a sister of mine, she said, you know, I wanted to be Marilyn Monroe when I was a child for Halloween, and it never occurred to me to paint my face white. And then I thought about that. And I said, if I wanted to dress up like a white person for Halloween, it would never occur to me to paint my face white. So for someone to make the excuse to think that excuses their actions by saying, oh, I was dressing up like Michael Jackson, so I decided to paint my face black, that's ridiculous. We know that that's racism. Everyone knows it. You know, so, I mean, everything that's already been said here was factual, but, you know, a lot of times we have to follow the money, you know, and I think it was right here where a member of VSEC recorded Northam having his undisclosed meeting, coming out of his undisclosed meeting with Tom Farrell, the CEO of Dominion, you know, and if you follow the money, you will see who's been contributing to Northam's campaign. You will see who else they've contributed to, and you will see that his top donors are all heavy supporters of Republicans. They were all supporters of Cuccinelli when he was Attorney General here, when he had his assault on women's rights. Come on. You know? Just follow the money, you'll see, and you won't be surprised by any of this new stuff. So while people are saying they want to, you know, protect Northam and protect the Democrat Party from their culpability, we really got to take them to task these days. Let's do it. You know, they knew what they were doing. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Good morning.
We represent the organization Southerners on New Ground, also known as SONG. We in SONG envision a sustainable South that embodies the best of its freedom traditions and works toward the transformation of our economic, social, spiritual, and political relationships. Today, we would like to address Virginia's current and historic white supremacist, anti-Black, anti-Indigenous, anti-person of color, anti-woman, and anti-LGBTQ agenda. Today, we find joy in standing united with the people here for liberation and combating the Southern-specific strategy of the right and liberal moderate to divide and conquer Southern oppressed communities. We have come to understand this strategy includes rural isolation, right-wing Christian infrastructure, racism, environmental degradation, and economic oppression. The current racist actions of Governor Ralph Northam stretch beyond a yearbook photo. White supremacy lives through his current political actions. Northam is not unique in this respect either. The entire Commonwealth was founded on principles of white supremacy. These principles are exemplified in Northam's first year of governorship through the following actions. 1. Support for the Atlantic Coast Pipeline with Dominion Energy and Tom Farrell's co-signature with a special payout of $65,000 in campaign contributions. 2. Removal of vocal members of the State Air Pollution Control Board whose decision around the Union Hill compressor station will destroy a historical Black community. 3. Toying with the lives and safety of migrant and refugee communities by allowing Immigration and Customs Enforcement, also known as ICE, to unjustly patrol communities of color.
Thank you. We stand here today in solidarity with the people directly impacted by these reincarnated tactics to divide and conquer Southern oppressed communities. If Governor Northam will not resign, he will, quote, do the hard work of regaining our trust, unquote, by issuing our reparations through compliance with the following demands. The use of your remaining time in office to grant mass clemency to as many pending cases as possible, with an emphasis on freeing incarcerated Black people while restoring the rights taken through incarceration. Strike your proposed budget measures that increase harm to youth of color, such as funding for school resource officers. The decriminalization of immigration. To reinstate and effectively implement parole back in the Commonwealth of Virginia. Exercise your executive power to prohibit ICE from making any arrests in all Virginia courts. Dedicated implementation of a universal representation program in the state budget to grant immigrant and refugee communities access and equitable access to immigration litigation. Prohibit Virginia's localities from entering the 287 partnership program run and funded by ICE. Remove all statues to white supremacy. Especially statues of colonial settlers and Confederate generals. We understand these demands will be confronted with legislative battles, and that is why we call on all Virginia legislators, both in House and Senate, to rise to the occasion of committing to restoring a way of being that recognizes our collective humanity and dependence on the earth. Thank you.
I think this is a show, once again, as I said earlier, of the people. I also want you guys and girls and everybody, non-binary, everybody here to realize that where are our supposed leaders? Where are the legislators? We do know that they are in session, but they were invited here. They were personally invited to be here today. And every single one of us is absolutely angry that we do not have that leadership that they claim to have. When they talk about moral leadership, that does not exist. But it is something that we can construct. It is something that we can build. And that's why we are here demanding that today in Virginia, a governor, the one that's supposed to lead a whole Commonwealth, represents that. And we have shown that today. We are showing that every single day when we're fighting for legislation that will protect our communities, and they do not do a single thing to pass it. And I'm not talking about any specific party. I'm talking about both parties have failed absolutely to every single Virginian. They have failed us, they have failed communities of color, but they have failed every single Virginian. Now, having said that, where are the leaders?
There you go.
Where are the leaders? They are here because you, the people, are the leaders. And we're going to ask Roth to resign. Roth, 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 resign. Once Northam resigns.
We don't need the governor of the state of Virginia.
Once Rob Northam resigns, it is the moment that we will begin the process of healing, which is the very process that we need. Our communities continue to be attacked, and we will not stand for it. Absolutely not. Every single one of us is here to make sure of that. An attack on the African American community, an attack on any single black person is an attack on us. And that's how we feel it. We will voice our opinion. We will be here, and we have to be here. And once again, this is not just a call for Roth. This is a call for the whole legislature to really be leaders, to be here with us, the people, and demand that Roth resigns. And now we also have Reverend Lisette that she will speak some words.
Come on, Lisette.
She will.
For yourselves. Let's give it up for justice. Let's give it up for the right to rally. Let's give it up for the power of the people. For we know that it is the power of the people to assemble, to call on the conscience of corrupt leaders, to just simply do the right thing. And so we say together, Ralph, resign. Ralph, resign. Ralph, resign. Ralph, resign. Ralph, resign. Ralph, resign. Now, it is, in the words of MLK, the fierce urgency of now that we call on Governor Northam to resign. Not because your apology was half behind. Not because you didn't know the star that you portrayed in blackface. But simply because you have lost the trust of the people who voted to put you in office. And so the same power that brought us to the ballot is the same power that brings us to assemble today to say, Ralph, resign. Ralph, resign. Ralph, resign. Ralph, resign. Ralph, resign. Ralph, resign. We are here in solidarity of those who are housing unstable. We are here in solidarity with those whose very communities are being encroached upon by profits and Capitol Hills, capitalism, corporations. We're standing for environmental rights. We're standing for our brothers and sisters who have come into this country. We're standing because yes, racism is wrong. We know that. This is not new news. But in this moment, when we are facing a General Assembly that seeks to roll back protections for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and questioning persons who seek to dehumanize us, we need a governor that'll be in office that really will be not only a person of integrity, but a person of the people. And so we say, Ralph, resign.